Okay. So when you're doing consignments, if I remember correctly, what you normally would do first is change your or enter your price in for that import. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So the prices are not set up in meter billing anymore. They're actually looking at the item file for that location. So let me give you an example of some that I've already changed and imported last night for May 26th. So if you go into inventory, in the inventory menu, and go to items under the maintenance section, and then for here, let's go ahead and select one of your item codes, specifically for like location 575. So that, yep, I think that number is used. So let's go ahead and press enter. And let's go ahead and double click this for me. You go pricing, all the locations will be listed in this pricing tab. So go ahead and click pricing tab for me. So what it's looking for is the retail price, the one that has an asterisk. So let's say, look, you want to filter by location 575. And I'm going to, just to kind of get an idea, I know you guys have tons of locations, but how many different pricing are you really inserting per day, per location?
4 or 5. All 3 gas products, and then diesel and non-highway diesel. And kerosene.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many locations would you be adjusting it for?
And he's on Simmons.
They vary quite a bit. So Simmons,
Okay.
32, maybe it's 22.
So you're saying like 22 different locations?
At least, yes. For the import.
About that 4.
And you got currently, how are you guys changing that price in Origin? You're going into the item cross reference and you're modifying it there?
Right. Right.
Okay. So in here, you do have to pre-filter the location, but you can import prices too, and I have not tried that yet, but you can import prices in from a CSV file. So we can go, we can try that if that's going to be faster, but otherwise, what you would do is click the location or search the filter and look for that location. So do me a favor and do, in the location column, right click on that and click filter. And then I want you to put in one of the locations for me. Like do 565, for example.
65? 65.
65, there you go. And then click location, right, filter another location again for me. I want 2 location filters up at the top. I want to see if this will allow me to do 2 locations at the same time. Maybe you can save this as a tab. Go ahead and, there you go. So and then go to view. There you go. And do save as default once you click that little view button. All right. So here, and I'm just for the sake of trying this, and I didn't check it last night. Close this screen. And then bring up 4301 again, or open the item code again for me. Oops, yeah, you went a little far. So So this is one way to like auto filter, and you can even save your own tab if in case you don't like it having filters like this. You can create it as a new tab and call it consignment tab or consignment pricing tab, and this will allow you to scroll down the list. Sorry, if you go ahead and click in the location, I think you have to press enter, like go into one of those for it to recalculate. There you go. Now, unless you want to do the whole import, we can try that too to see which way is faster for you.
I think since these are, Sharon's doing a group and then Luann is doing, actually, hers is split into two. Correct me if I'm wrong, it may be best not to do the import.
Okay.
They may not be ready at the same time on the pricing. So I believe this is much better than going in one at a time as in the past.
Okay.
Okay. Price,
so then,
I'm lost.
Well, I kinda am too a little bit.
Okay.
As far as,
this is replacing where you go in to the cross-reference.
Okay.
So instead of doing one price at a time, your stations are listed, and you said they were entering the retail price? We need to know the retail, is that what we do? So you would do it per location. Remember I was telling you about the grid of the prices?
Okay.
This is where that would take place. Instead of having to go in and out of each screen, you would just go by product for all your locations. Am I correct, Conception? I'm trying to remember what I saw.
you are correct. You're correct. So for location 332, so for location 332, click over in the retail price there you go. You can modify this specific field. It does look like a grid, like you can't change it, but this is a screen that you can change.
Okay.
Whatever.
And this is just going to be for the stations that we import from Simmons, or will this be all the? Okay.
okay.
So this will be Simmons. Now, let's talk about that. If you're importing pricing for 565, you're talking about on a receipt, correct? Like if you're doing receipts and then you're selling to the customer?
Explain receipts. That's new terminology for us, I think.
In transports, that's my fault. In transports, would you ever bring in product for location 4301 and sell it to Nick's Pickwick number 13 or 332 Connor Convenience?
Yes.
You would be selling it or dropping it or would you be dropping it as a location?
Yes. Product will come into that location, and then as the meters determine how much of that product we invoice the customer.
Okay. So if I remember right, in Origin, you guys would go into transports, receive the product, and then on the distribution side, you would say yes to drop it into the bulk plant.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And then this right here, the Simmons process, is what relieves the inventory and and you invoice the actual customer. Okay. Then we're good here. I was thinking that maybe you could be bringing in product for that location 565 and you're selling it in a transport load, but that's not the case. No. Okay. Then yes, the retail price is here, and even if you did sell them the price, it'll use this, but let's say that you did have a transport load and we need to use the rack pricing and special pricing, we can do that to change the pricing mechanism for the retail price, since we do have a hierarchy if that becomes an issue later. So now, instead of doing the view, go ahead.
I had a question for Luann and Sharon. So you're not putting in what their cost is anywhere?
You're putting in the old cost.
We put in the price after taxes are deducted. Except now for the ones like Bostic's, for example, they're 50/50 or whatever. So we would take the total cost for them and take out taxes and put it in. Whereas with O'Toole's, they're on commission, I would use their pump price less taxes.
Okay.
Does this make sense?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, and the answer may come when we start invoicing. What price is being invoiced to the customer? Because some of these are split profit and some are commission. Is that set up?
It is whatever is in this retail price
That's what they're going to be
for meter
billed.
billing. Yep. Yep.
Their cost. Plus taxes, we can, right now, Luann says we're entering less tax.
Right,
Yeah,
right. You would want to do the net price here the same way. It would be before taxes, and then we'll tack on the taxes based off of their taxing group and exemptions, if any.
Okay, so they'll still use the same price that they're typically putting in. It's not always the retail
Exactly.
price. It's the
Right,
retail price.
right.
Posted at the
It's
pump.
just the
That's what I
retail
think
price
of the
where it's
retail
pulling it from.
That's what's on the side. Okay, that answers my
That's
question.
the same as
Same as
my
we do.
Simmons,
kind of
that report that we do,
Yeah, that the formula takes
takes out the tax and stuff, okay.
Okay, we're good. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So now, instead of doing the view save as, do me a favor and do view and do click the view button again, and let's try and do save as, and then give it a name. Like maybe call it consignment Simmons pricing or something like that. And then say okay here. Now go ahead and refresh your grid for me. I was waiting for it to create a tab on the right side, but it doesn't appear that it's doing that. Press enter there again. Okay, so you'll just have to, I was thinking that it was going to create a special tab. I don't know if the item is allowed to do that. So I'll try that and find out from Framework if that was the way it's supposed to be.
Okay.
But it looks like as long as you save this, you'll be able to filter by it again. Does anybody have any questions with this so far?
You can go view just your 4 next doors
Mhm.
and separate your Rockingham. Well, no, you can't be by user. You could say one for Rockingham and one for Laurinburg. No, I think
I'll
this
say
is
that-
good. Yeah, right.
I guess I'm just thinking, because Nick's and all that comes out of 001, not 002 or 03, so I didn't know if that would have.
It'd be their location, like 515,
Okay.
517, 518.
Okay, all right, because I know that like the location shows 001. So,
You're talking
Got
about
it.
when you're invoicing the customer? In I-21,
right,
because
it
you'll
shows
be,
001. Yeah.
gotcha. Since I-21, you have to bring in the transport load in order for you to value inventory in the right profit center. Or in this case, location 565, let's say their profit center is 565. The only way to make that happen in I-21 is to make sure to bring the product into 565 in transports and drop it into the location 565. That way it knows all the sales is happening and it's using the profit center 565. So essentially, by using the same location on the receipt and on the invoice, you can print a financial statement for 565. And then you can look at the inventory valuation in the financial statements for 565 and know that that's the inventory for that location, rather than in Origin what we had was a bunch of zeros and you didn't really know, other than running the stock status report, which portion is what. So that's a little bit of a difference for you, because if you're billing it out of location 1, our system is defaulting that Nick's Pick Quick number 5. Is that going to be a problem, Jimmy? Where you guys bring in product into 01 and bring in?
And then
I
it's
think
dropped into the location.
it's going to be right, exactly. Now there are transfers methods. So let's say you did take something out of your bulk plant 01 or a different bulk plant, and you needed to take that to another location. We can do transfers and move them from one location to another.
I believe Lisa
And if
does
you
that
did
now.
okay, okay. So yeah, I mean, that is possible in the system, so that's not a big deal. But if we bring it into the right location and sell it out of the right location, it would just make things a little cleaner as far as the inventory audit report, and you don't have a bunch of transfers happening.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So once we're going to make an assumption you have all of your retail prices in. So let's go ahead and close this screen or minimize it in case we need it later. And minimize this as well. I know it's in between those two boxes. There we go. The next step is going into meter billing. And then go into meter account for me. So part of the conversion will bring in the current meter account setup that's in Origin that has like the last reading number and all of that, the key and everything else that we need to calculate the next one. So if you open up the record or one of those accounts,
So this is the cross-reference from Simmons.
between the, yep, she accidentally keyed in. So close this and then try not to click a hyperlink because there's a bunch of them in the screen. There we go. So it's pretty much put in your key meter number, your item number, and then looks like the worksheet number is a sequential number. And then you have your last meter reading and then the last total sales dollar that was in the system when we convert. So in this case, if you needed to insert another key meter number for Country Store, you just add it at the very bottom, the first blank field.
This is nice also. Not having to jump back, and each meter had its own screen in Origin.
That's right. I remember. It was an account, like a cross-reference maintenance screen.
Yeah, this is good.
So now we can go ahead and then there's an attachments tabs and comments, but that's just all framework type stuff. Let's go ahead and close this. So assuming you have everything that you need and you're ready to go ahead and import, we're going to go ahead and close. And then the import process is in the meter readings under activities menu. So go ahead and click meter readings for me. So I posted a file and then picked a few transactions that I wanted to post. I really just wanted to see an invoice created for one of the customers. So what I did was I took a file and I kind of figured out what the pricing could have been based off of what you guys had in customer inquiry and live environment to see if my calculation would come out. So if you, from meter billing, the transaction ID for invoices are now MR. So that just so we know it's meter reading. So if you open up one of those transaction IDs that's already posted, and you can click the hyperlink or click open selected. This kind of tells you about the item that was sold, the reading information, the quantity sold, all of that. Go ahead and close this for me. I was hoping to go. If you click that hyperlink on the very right side where it says invoice number MR-537, this actually opens up the invoice that you can email or print or send to customer. So when you are going through this process, what you want to do is just import transaction in and then validate that the calculation is correct. The easiest way I've found this and how I did this was try and use the same price as a file that's already, that you're importing in, like say May 26th, because the date of this copy was like May 20th, 23rd maybe, and you guys have already imported May 19th transactions. So I went in and looked at your last May 26th KeyLock invoices for some of the customers and posted this specific one and looked at the price and then made that my price in the retail so I can validate it. So in this scenario, what I would do is I would go into Origin, look up Nick's Pick Quick number 13, look at their KeyLock invoice that was dated May 26th, and see if this amount matches. Or the other way too, because in Origin we create one invoice for the whole posting. In I-21 it actually creates an invoice per transaction or per line item. So in this case you're always only going to see one item number. And so you can't really like sum it up to one invoice in Origin and compare them. So what I actually had to do was go into Origin and import the same file in the conversion environment to make sure that the totals on there matches what my totals are in here per transaction. So, but you guys probably know how to confirm the totals too in however way you want them validated. That was just the easiest one for me, is to re-import the file in the test environment and then import in the same one in I-21 and confirm the totals.
Good.
All right, so let's go ahead and do me a favor and print this. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, I'm not on the server. Go ahead and print for me. Don't cringe about the logo. I still have not fixed it, and all I have to do is change the file. I think Wei is on the server, so I didn't want to interrupt him. The purpose I want you to see this is because of how the invoice looks towards the bottom, where it has the key meter reading and the reading information. So now what the customer is going to get, and this is something you might have to prepare them for, is because you guys normally send invoices to them too, right, for meter billing? Is that part of your process? Is you batch print and send them out?
I don't send Nick's any invoices.
Oh, you don't? Okay. I was thinking you do. Okay.
I do. I send mine.
Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if you needed to, then you can go to batch printing and print them or email them out, whichever way you guys normally handle it for the customer. But the biggest thing on these ones is just validating the totals to make sure it's calculating with appropriate taxes. So let's go ahead and close this, and I'm going to show you how to import the file.
Question about this.
Yep.
This is 1 meter, 1 product. Multiple meters, the additional meters will show here below the key, or is it going to be 1 page per meter?
It is 1 page per meter. That's the way it was developed. So it's going to be individual. So like, for example, go ahead.
You have a station with 36 nozzles, you're going to have 36 pages.
I see what
Origin
you're
was like that at one point, and then it was consolidated to show it was 1 page per product.
So then it's summed up. Now, if we change the way that works, it probably won't happen in 19.1, just because the 19.2 and 19.2 development.
I'm just surprised it didn't duplicate what we already had.
Yeah, when I was testing it too, it may have just not been part of the design, or it was missed, is my guess. But I'll go back to Brian and Wei and figure out if it was not part of the design, or was it there and it just wasn't done right, or I'll just find out. Because I really don't know. I just know that it came in as one invoice at a time.
All right.
Let me see here.
I print my invoices, but Ken doesn't want
He
them.
doesn't look
The
at
only
it.
thing I send him is for my direct station.
That's good. Agree with that. 150 pages with all his locations.
Wonder if we
And he's part of the reason we
They
changed.
have a lot.
I want to say several years ago we requested and paid for redevelopment because the stations were complaining they had to print out so many pages, and that's when it was consolidated by product per page.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll just go back to development and find out why it was, that it was consolidated on your invoice format. They probably see, right here on the invoice format, whoever developed this didn't necessarily understand, like they know that that's an invoice and the data is there, but the whole posting routine of meter billing is what's missed here, because they didn't realize they have to consolidate it into one invoice. So yeah, I'll just talk to Way and Brian and see what was designed and why was it done this way. So however, it will be like this for a little bit though, until, it's decided when that can change. It may be, 19.2, I'll get back with you on that, Jimmy. After we get done, I'll go talk to him. Okay? So let's go ahead and close this for now. And then, and then you can close this, and then let's go ahead and import a new file for 526. So if you go to the unpost, you can do that, and then we'll go to the unposted meter readings because there's a bunch out there. The field mapping, there's no defaults for these settings. If you go to the field mapping, you just have to know to type in Simmons. There's going to be a lot. There you go. And then press enter. And in the file to import, you do have to browse for it. So you just go to the PC files folder and then go to the Simmons.
That brings up another question while I'm finding Simmons. All of the computers here in Rockingham where the server is have the PC files folder.
Yep.
I don't think the other two offices can see this folder.
So tell me, how are they getting the Simmons file to import in I-21? Because
Origin knows which path. Origin, we just put in the file name, and Origin
because
knows
it's
which
already
path.
in the server.
Yeah. And I believe that's going to be the same way with digital importing too. This Origin knows the path. I meant to go look at that again.
Yeah, because. All right. Well, let me talk through. Any reason why you, other than just security purposes, or is there a reason not to give them PC files folder?
Yeah, I don't know. That's just the way it was from the beginning, and I guess originally we weren't doing importing and
Right.
and whatnot. And I guess with Origin there wasn't a need because Origin knew the path the file was coming from.
Right. Right.
Module.
With I-21, it appears that it's constantly just, as you've noticed, there's a bunch of browsing that we have to do, so it's really it could be on the local drive or the shared drive. But I'll find out if there's any plans.
It's not a problem. I don't see a problem having the other offices have access to the path if that's possible.
Okay. All right. Well, that might be the quickest solution. Only because I can't imagine them changing this, only because I can always ask, but they're going to ask if it's going to be something that you really need, and they're going to ask you if you want to get a quote for it.
I think we're fine with the access to the PC files folder from the other two or three offices.
Okay. And maybe there's other items in the PC files folders that you need to move out into a different shared drive if it's only certain ones that they need access to.
Yeah, really, the other offices only need access to Sharon will need access to the Simmons. We import all the credit cards here, and then, of course, the digital dispatch order.
So maybe just limit it to the file that they need access to, and then then it won't be such a big change and all of that.
That'll work.
So once we go into the Simmons folder, there should be a few that I copied. So go ahead and double click that for me and go to, so I've already imported that one that you have highlighted. So we're going to import the one above it. There we go. And then say open. And then click load file. What the load file is going to do is it's going to search for any discrepancy. And then if you click on the error logs, it'll tell you if there were any errors. Now, if there are errors in there, the most common one I will see that I've seen in your file is there's extra commas at the bottom of the file. So I'm not sure what's creating that, but what you would have to do is delete those extra commas from the file. So I don't know if there's a way to not have those extra commas. If you open up an old one, Jimmy, when you have a chance, you can scroll down to the bottom on the notepad, and you'll see what I mean.
All right.
And tell me if that's something that can't be changed on the file, then that means I got to go back to development and ask them to bypass it, but otherwise it's trying to read every single line item as a detailed line. But it's easy enough to open and then delete that section too. So once you're in the meter, if there's nothing in the error log, go back to the meter reading for me. And then this is just a display. It's telling you the current reading and the current amount, and if whatever's in the file. And then once you click process, that's when the rest of the information will load. So let's go ahead and click process. And this will then dump it into the unposted meter readings tab once it's done. So go ahead and say OK here. And go to unposted meter readings tab up at the top. So this would be what you would consider like your edit list, sort of. If there were pricing involved, then it will calculate through. But if there's no pricing, I think majority of that retail price is 0. So if you scroll over to the right side, there you see how there's no tax, there's no pricing, so there's really no calculation. So what you will have to do is get the price in and then re-import the file. So what I have to do for you is delete the unposted meter readings that you just imported, and then you're going to go change the price and then import it back in. That way you have clean data out there.
That makes sense.
Or import a new file that we haven't imported and change the price. But then the meter readings are so quirky that you almost have to time it in order for it to calculate on the next reading, because it needs to know what your last one and your current one. Am I right with that?
Right.
Yeah, it has to be like exact. So there's the one more file on May 26th that I haven't imported, so maybe work with that file rather than, working on this one. So it's really up to you. Do you guys want me to remove what's in unposted meter readings and have you on your time, like maybe in a little bit put in your pricing and then make sure and validate those totals?
I think so, yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me clean this up, and then you guys can go ahead and do further testing and validation. So now, let's pretend we're going to batch post this so you can just move on to the last step. Go ahead and click batch post. So just like the other batch posting screen, it does auto-filter to meter reading transactions in this screen. So what you would do is either you select all and then post, or just select a few and then post. So right now, since we don't have a price, which there should be some that's priced though, because I thought, no, I only did it for location. Yeah, we did put in some price, but that could be on the next file, the one that we had changed. You know, it may not be on this file. So I think the best thing is for me to delete it and you guys start over so you can easily validate.
Yeah.
Conception, I have a crazy
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
You said we could choose all, or we could choose a few and post, and then, is there a reason why we do one or the other? I mean,
None.
oh,
I was just picking picky because I didn't want to set up every single one because I was being lazy. I was just picking one customer that I can find. So I set up the look that all the items say purchase for that import, and then change the price for that location.
okay, so if everything balances out and we're ready, we can just choose all and go ahead and post it, right?
Exactly. So when we hang up, or when you do your testing after I let you know I got them deleted, what you want to do is do your normal routine of assuming you're importing in May 26th, put your pricing in, and then for all of the locations, for all the items, and then import the file, and then validate your totals and like the last meter, next meter reading, and then post that. And import the same file in the test environment. I think that is the easiest thing to do.
Okay.
But you know this process more than I do. Maybe by just looking at the total, right?
Sometimes if there's something that's out of whack, it will be visible. That,
Yeah.
Okay.
$10,000, $10,000 or something like that.
Sometimes we catch it, sometimes we don't.
We try.
You already know that because you had one of mine up here one day. Oh. Okay, we got that, I think. Don't you, Sharon?
Feel good about it.
I'm glad.
So this is kind of what you would do, I mean, not this exact way, but when you pull it in, when you would pull in the Simmons, and then we would just import it in.
When we download the Simmons file each week, it's divided up into 3 groups, and that may be where the comments are coming from.
Oh, are you dividing them manually?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And saving
Gotcha.
3 CS.
Okay. Gotcha. And you're doing 3 CSVs because of the 3 different locations or 3 different people that processes them?
The groups, yes, between 2 people.
Okay.
Helps to keep it organized because the data comes in at various times per group.
Gotcha. Okay. So then if you want to go ahead and go into your Simmons folder, and then open up one of the files on Notepad, not one that I've created or recopied. Just do random. And then it would Notepad. There we go. And you scroll all the way down. Yep. So you have to delete those in order for it to not error out on that error log, and then resave it. Just don't open in Excel. It'll potentially mess the whole file up. You guys good with this one as far as the process and then the batch post for right now until you're actually importing and validating totals?
I think so. Once we practice on we'll just do 2 or 3 consensual,
Mhm.
consecutive weeks, consensual.
Okay.
Um,
Oh,
everybody's in agreement.
I guess that means, you know what, Jimmy, you're right. You could do that too. That's right. Okay. But I'll clean this up so that way it's not out there as zeros.
But I think we have
All right,
plenty of
so that's
files
what
we
three.
can-
Yep. Do you, as far as consignments in general, I know in your world it's just called consignment because they're just consigned locations, and we removed the whole consignment scenario. So really, it's just it's inventory sitting in your system for different locations. Now, tell me, outside of that concept, is there anything else that you need for what we're considering consignments in I-21? Like, is there anything else I need to think about?
I don't think so. Anything else would be invoiced separately, like pump test
That-
and then the
Commission.
and commissions.
Yeah.
That's
So the stuff that, like, the
recalculated.
things that like Sandra sends me with the meter readings that don't come in through Simmons, I mean,
Now, what if we had to manually? All of our consigned stations are not on Simmons.
Okay.
We have to manually key
So what
in.
you,
price
okay,
changes.
so let's go ahead and close,
Yeah.
let's close this screen. And then let's go to, you can click new from here.
Yeah,
Or
we're
there's
right.
also and there's also under the create section a new. So the transaction number, you don't put anything in. You plug in the customer code.
All the way back out.
Yeah.
So meter readings or
Yep.
create.
Or create under new meter readings. Then you don't have the grid. And then you select your customer using the magnifying glass or start typing in part of the name or the customer number. I'm not sure what this filter is searching for. Customer name. So if you can scooch customer number over, you can do that too. And then press N. What name are you
That's the
looking
location.
for?
That's the location number. Their account
Oh,
number.
I see.
Connors.
I see. There we go.
In this scenario, it looks like you could have moved your company location over as your first criteria. Because then
I see that.
332 is within that.
Cool. I'm clicking outside the
But
box and pressing tab. Oh, here we go.
It
Okay.
won't. Okay.
That's it. It's all on one page. It's the
Like,
best
what's
thing.
3321? I mean, for you, because I know mine's, that's your
That is
location.
his- yeah.
The location, and then
And pump
just like the
one.
no lead plus.
That's the plus. And then
Okay.
we're going in,
Yeah, and the pump number.
they're
Okay.
not gonna be in, okay,
But you could probably filter them to be in.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
thanks.
To do all the, no lead.
Oh, I see right
Okay.
there. Oh, I see what
Okay.
you mean. You can filter it by, product. Right.
Yeah.
And that's
That'll
filtered by product.
That'll be better.
And then just do our
Don't you
current,
think?
mhm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, I love that. Oh,
And then put in
yeah.
the current reading.
But now, I got a question.
Lisa?
About where y'all were talking about only one thing being on the invoice, could you select all of these and then click view invoice and they all show up, or? You see the view invoice button?
I think you actually have to create an invoice. Like you actually have to process it and do all of that. Now tell me I hear you guys talking about how all of the items are on here, and I think in Origin you plug in the reading, the key, and then you select an item and then you save it.
Yeah. There's so many
Are
different
you
strokes.
right. If you type in the current, type in 25,000 for me in here in the current reading. I just want to make sure it's okay.
And we don't put in dollars.
We put in
We don't
price.
put in a price.
We put in price when we do the meter reading.
If it's done manually, well, we would have to, wouldn't we?
Oh.
Because
Yeah,
the
price.
cost is gonna be different
Mhm.
from,
Yeah.
Priceless taxes for their,
isn't that
So
right?
this would be before taxes. Yep.
Oh, before, that's gonna be harder. And that's all we're gonna do to manually enter one. Everything's gonna be right here. We're just gonna enter the price, tab, the reading, and
Right.
keep going.
Yeah, and do me a favor, save this for me. I'm just curious. Oh, sorry, transaction date. Now let's see if it'll save.
sometimes we may just have a price change on one product. And there are no meters to change on the other products.
Close this, and then let's open up MR 697. I want to see if it changes. So go to meter readings. Under the unposted meter readings, I already forgot the number. That's so sad.
697.
MR, was it 697? Okay. Go ahead and type in 697 in the transaction ID contains. Okay, so then it does create a line for each one. That's what I was worried about. It may default and show you all of them, but it looks like you have to remove the lines or else it's going to create a record for each one. I don't know how I feel about that. Do another another manual ticket for me for another location.
Just thinking. There we go. Country store. All right, so we'll put in no lead. Nice.
Yeah, it says there's not a delete button in here. You see what I mean? Like in the detail, you can't delete them. So they need to not pre-fill this in necessarily. You see what I mean by that? Or have them add a delete button so you can remove the ones you're not creating a reading for.
Right.
Yeah.
Or have it where it only have it create only the invoices for the line items with an actual reading.
That would be best, I think.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd save us another step.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So you're saying that you're okay with how it looks as far as showing every single key, that does not bother you, but when we save it, it shouldn't make one for the other keys that don't have a current reading. Sorry. So you guys, because that's okay. So that's how I'll go. Because I'm like, well, what if we want to insert or put in the key and then the item, but then that is more keystrokes, I guess, because then you're having to select it rather than being able to just put in the net price and the current readings. Okay. All right. So that's what I'll ask.
Okay.
Because otherwise,
I have another.
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
Okay. Another question is, if we have more than one that we have to do in manually, we'll enter in like this one, then save it, and then go
Yep.
new and just go.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if we filter by item on a country
Yep.
store, the next
Yep.
one we pull up, will it automatically already be filtered like that, or is each one gonna need to be filtered?
I think you have to save your view.
Oh, I see. Oh,
So in
okay.
this case, save as default.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, no problem. And then it goes to the whole posting or batch posting, or you can just post it while you're here. So as far as just to recap on meter billing, we need to, I need to clean it all up. I need to talk to Wei about creating invoices as mass and not necessarily do one invoice per transaction, which is how it was designed in Origin. And then on the creating a new one, there's not a remove button, but our option or our preference is that if you don't put a current meter reading in the list, that means don't create an invoice for it. Okay. All right. So that's it for me for meter reading. So you guys have, I know you sent me an email, Jimmy, which I haven't had a chance to read it.
Okay.
Today, Sharon, let me read it really quick in case I can just. So you converted digital dispatch file for practice, but you receive an error that the CSV file is not valid. You want to show me or email me, or just show me which file it is you're working on, so that way I can take a look at it on the server.
Okay. See if I can remember which one it was. I may have tried all of these.
All those up there? Okay.
I've seen 3. That was Friday.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I'm not sure.
Not sure. Okay, I'll look at those and see if I can figure out what the differences are. But it could be that you modified the tax group and all of that, like in the file?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You did? Okay.
I
I
just
wonder
didn't
if by
replace all.
saving it. Oh, you did replace. Did you do it in Excel or did you do it in Notepad?
Did a notepad?
Okay, which is what I did before. Okay. Well, let me take a look and see if I can figure that out.
But I may have missed one. That way I can set up some test files for us to practice importing.
Right. Okay. And also, since we'll be using contracts in Digital Dispatcher, is there a way you can contact Digital Dispatch and find out how to, that way we can test the contract, making sure that it comes in?
Okay.
I'm not sure how to change the file and where it is, but I can find out from an existing customer where theirs is. But maybe contact them and find out, hey, you know what, we want to send the contracts over into iRely, and I'm not sure what that would mean at their end, but I know we can do it because the customer we're working on brings the contracts in.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll start on that.
Okay. EFT process. Today, Sharon Luann may ask questions concerning the EFT process, as it is the final step for the weekly billing of consigned stations. If we have time, I'd like to review it if needed. We can schedule a separate session for this procedure. Okay. So you're talking about the ACH process for the week, like if you needed to filter and figure out which ones they are. Is that what you're
For all
talking
these
about?
invoices that generate, well, I'll let y'all, so,
You're
Okay.
right, that's it.
and they include the credit cards, any other charges that may appear during the week that goes with that week's worth of.
Okay. Of work,
Clean.
okay. So if you close this for me and go into sales, and then go into receive multiple payments, the first thing you want to do here is the date paid. That's going to be the effective date that's going to show on the remittance advice. So you want to make sure you change your date paid to the proper date. And then you default the payment method as it shows in here as ACH. And then you change the due date and put before whatever is the date you want to do before. And that's not up to the 12th. That's before the 12th. So just keep that in mind.
After the default payment, then where did we go?
Oh, you see where it has like the due date? It looks like the settings for Jimmy, he's already got default settings, which means you probably don't when you log in. So first thing you want to do is, you know how we did the right click and filtering of the column? You want to filter by the payment method ACH.
Right here. That's what happened there. ACH.
And then you put in a setting for your due date, because you might want to know, you might only want to pull in transactions through a specific day. Now,
So the due date, let me make sure we're correct. So if we're doing invoices through, they're right here through the 21st.
Yep. Does that include the 21st, or?
Does,
so it'll
yeah.
be everything through it does. So you want to do the 22nd.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's not less than or equal to.
We can choose
Or
invoice.
the true before. Yep.
Everything before.
You can do invoice date too.
We'll have to experiment with this sorting and see what pops up, just to make sure we're not,
Okay.
because the due date would be 3 days later or a week later for the invoice that's completed on the 21st, if I'm thinking correctly.
Like next invoices, I have to do those like from a Wednesday to the next
So
Tuesday.
you'd have to select the invoice date. You're selecting the invoice date. Okay. Okay. So we'll use the invoice date.
And that's for the credit cards.
Right.
Yeah. So that gets confusing.
Yeah. Whereas mine is from, some of them are Tuesday through Monday and
And that's your
some
credit cards.
Yeah.
And then also up at the top right, you want to make sure to uncheck EFT budgets when you're doing your consignment ACH. There we go. That way you don't see all those budget ACH thrown in there. And then, so you have your normal filters, but you then want to sort by customer name or customer number. So that way you have all of the like customers together. You want to do sort ascending or sort descending. Oops, sorry, it was in that. So, yep, there you go.
And there's just a lot in here because we've been testing and.
I've been importing a bunch of credits, and nobody's want to pay them. Wants the ACH.
Now, the credit
So the
cards that we've
biggest thing
imported.
go ahead.
The credit cards that we've imported, the credits, are they also in here, like imported from Shell and BP and?
Yep, that's probably where primarily most of those are from. So if you open that, like one of those credits, it should tell us that it's from Credit Card Recon or Dealer Credit Cards in I-21.
Oh, I see it right here.
Oh, okay.
Now, would
Yep.
this be the same thing I would use to do the refund credits that I send to y'all?
Oh,
I don't think,
Which,
Through EFT?
It's the one where Ann gives me the bank paper, and then I make a voucher for them, pay them on there, and then I'm normally going to Petrolake and do a sales ticket entry for them.
is this when you're transferring credits around?
Pretty much.
We think
but
so.
that's on my direct station, because I've got some that, what you deal with is stuff that Ann actually puts into their account or takes out.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Okay.
Like Seven Lakes,
Remember that
like
question.
Seven Lakes, for example. That what we had the other day. B&T and,
Food. There's
that's,
plenty of.
Mhm.
mine, some of mine are.
on, do you have any direct stations that?
So if we selected an EFT here by, okay, currently when you build an EFT, then it presents you with a document to send to the station and then how
Mhm.
much is going to be drafted at any certain date.
Okay.
Does this produce the
Is
same?
it you guys drafting them?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, this is the same process.
Okay.
And refunding it.
Okay, so we just choose, like we, on the other, what we need to go on that EFT, right?
Correct. Now, if you feel more comfortable, like, it sounds like to me you guys normally have documents in front of you by customer, right?
Hmm.
Yes.
So if you
Mhm.
do, you can always filter by customer number, so that way the totals at the bottom match whatever it is you're trying to reconcile to. So let's say you're looking up, right in there, type in BB or B&T, EXB. Assuming there's nothing check marked. So we've already selected a few, so the number is gonna look awkward because it does remember the check marks that are there. So what I would do is if I have a piece of paper, I'm just gonna, for the sake of being, I can see what's there and not have to scroll up and down. I can use this, and then when you generate your ACH file, you're not limited to just this one that you're gonna post. It'll be like unsubmitted ACHs, and you can select of those which ones you wanna generate together.
Oh,
Credit cards.
okay. That would be,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
for me, because sometimes I kinda pick up some of Sharon's in there
Mhm.
instead of.
So Luann and Sharon can do this process at the same time.
Okay?
If they're ready.
Now, there's another, if you're good, like for what you're doing, if you wanna pick up one customer at a time, I would suggest even using a totally different screen and not doing it here. This would be for multiple selection on a normal ACH. So like, for example, your budget. You don't wanna go through this, they're not sending you a reconciliation sheet to go against. You're drafting them $75 for everything through July 1st. This is where it's good. You don't have to click 20 different records. If you close this screen for me and go into receive payments, here you can, while you're entering here and then another person's entering for another customer and you guys have different batches, multiple people can be doing this at the same time. Now, obviously not for the same customer because you don't want to accidentally pull each other's debit memos and credit memos and all sorts of stuff. But here, go ahead and click new. This is the grid that tells you the historical postings. So if you click new or go to create and click new payment, you can do the same thing here. So do B&T. And then they're already set to payment ACH. and then you can just select the customers you want in here, or the payments that you want to.
That's better.
I guess there's not enough invoices out there, but if you did have some, you'd be able to select it and then click post, and let's pretend we posted this, so close this screen for me,
Okay.
because we don't have any invoices to draft the customers. It will go into that unsubmitted ACH tab. So you can just post away. And then in the unsubmitted ACH tab, it'll show everybody's. And then scroll over to the right side for me. I'm trying to see if the employee name is in here.
Yeah.
You can filter out your specific transactions you entered. So then you're not grabbing Sharon's or someone else, or Jimmy's or someone else's. Does that make sense?
That
Yes,
does.
yes.
Awesome. Yeah, it just gives you a lot more control. And if you have that many, like if you only have 5, and it's not a big deal, but you guys have a lot of invoices. So sometimes going to receive multiple payments may just be overwhelming when you're trying to do. But she could, both of you, I mean, and if you don't mind searching by customer code, then going here would be okay.
I think that would be best. And after they select the items they want, they generate ACH,
Yep,
and that provides the.
yep.
Okay.
And then when you generate ACH, there's an email remittance advice or print it out if you want, and then that creates a cash management transaction. Do you want to try but I don't know if this is already created. Go ahead, Jimmy. Check mark this one for me.
Okay.
And then click Generate ACH. And say okay, and it'll upload another screen. And then you select this one to process. We didn't. The file. It's not the right checkbook too, so I think the transaction's just not. It's not set up for this checkbook. You notice how it's the conversion checkbook. You guys don't really use the conversion checkbook, so that checkbook isn't set up. So that's okay. When you click this, you would generate. That generate will create a file, and it'll open up another box. And maybe I have documentation on that too, so I can email that to you. I know it's in one of the videos, but you'll have to go through an hour worth of videos to get to that piece. So I might have a document already done for you guys historically, and I can
That would be good, so we have
send it.
the process.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we realize we've had made a mistake, can we go back out after we've processed everything and undo something?
Yes.
Like,
Yep, as
So
long as you can, just go to the very last transaction. When you do ACH and ACH only, after you process it, it creates a cash bank transaction already. Sorry, when you generate it, it creates a bank transaction and it posts it. So when you're trying to unpost a record, like let's say you try to unpost RCV 80, it'll give you a warning, assuming this was all done, it'll give you a warning and say bank deposit this is already created. Delete the unpost and delete the bank deposit first before unposting the received payment. But yeah, all you have to do is remember to go from the very last transaction backwards. Now, if it's cleared already in the bank, at that point you can't really do much other than unclearing it, unreconciling it, and doing all that stuff. But by that time, you guys have already figured out that there was an issue. But yeah, you can go as far as that is when you've reconciled it. Just you got to keep going back, which is a lot more work. But it's possible.
So once we generate, we as our consignments are finished with it, right?
if your process is to bring in consignment, like your Simmons import, and then after that you process the ACH for it, and then you generate and send the remittance advice, once you get that far, then your piece is done. That is true.
Okay.
Now, is there something that we can print out so we can send the customer?
Yes, I'm going to show you what that looks like. If go to the archive file for me. I want to see if it shows like previous archives. I don't know if it does when you have a record open. All right, so it doesn't here. So close this, and then close this. Go to cash management, because that's the only place I know that you can get to it backwards, and go to bank deposits. This is not the normal way. That would be after, like say you've done all the process and you forgot to print the remittance advice. This is the way to get back to it. I'm going to say, I don't know which one would have been. Deposits, AR, Heartland Payment Systems. I can't tell on here which one's ACH. All right, we'll try that. I don't know if that's one. No, this one wasn't it. It was a regular payment.
That's this.
Yeah, you'd have to go back to a received payment record that tells us that it's an ACH process.
I don't see it either.
Yeah, close this for me, or minimize it, and let's go to receive payment screen, receive payment details screen. Oh, to receive payments.
No, still in cash management?
Allah. Nope, sales, and then receive payments. Yep. And then here, search for, go back to the receive payments tab. And then maybe filter by payment method, ACH.
Oh, it's already there.
That's okay. That one's the default because it doesn't want you to show NSF, but you may not have any ACH. All right. So in this case, this was not deposited yet. Bank deposit. Oh, okay. All right. I wish I can take over your screen. Oh, here. Take over.
It's all yours.
Screen sharing. I didn't even know I can do that.
Carlos cars.
Oh, it won't let me move my mouse. It was just joking. It's not like Screen Connect. Oops. Did I move you?
I did that. I thought there was something where you could. No,
No.
I can't give you the screen either. I can only share it. Okay.
All right. Go back to unsubmitted ACH tab. And then let's put in, instead of the bank account number equals blank, do the drop down selection in there. Let's see if there's another one. Go down one. There we go. Click, and then, yep. And then let's select, 847, I think, is your main.
Mhm. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, there we go. So now select one of those 7 lakes. And then click Generate ACH.
Oh, I'm sorry. I went ahead of you.
Oh, you're all right.
generate
Yep.
AC.
Okay. All right, then select this to process. So if you had multiple, you can select all of them, and then click generate again. Select the file format. I'm surprised. And then there should only be one. It would be on the right side where you have the red box. There you go. And then click generate. If it still arrows out,
Export.
that's not, it should have just created one for this. Go ahead and click that and click generate again. That's weird. All right, let me just figure that out, Jimmy.
Okay.
Because we did a few already, and all right. What I'll do is I'll just create a document that goes through the whole thing.
That would be great.
If I don't already have one. Okay. For the e-commerce, I'm gonna refer that one to Greg because I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm just waiting
And
on
then,
confirmation.
Okay. Wait for you to do, what program do you use to edit screenshots? I would like to put together instruction notes using screenshots with highlighted text. I use GreenShot image editor. So if you go out and go to another tab for me and search for GreenShot.
Green?
Screenshot.
Yep. So the one I use is the one with that little green thing right there. Yeah, the little green. So if that's that first one. Yeah, so if you go back, I think it's that first one right there.
This first link.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now yep. This is the one we use internally. And then you can copy and paste, and then you can highlight certain things and all that.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right. So I'm sure what's tomorrow?
Vendor setup.
Tomorrow is vendor setup, and we are going to try and add. Maybe tomorrow, is the same individuals will be in the training tomorrow. Maybe we can go over the ACH. But I think having that on a document, since you're going to be following it, will be easier.
Okay.
And then what we can do is go over, the other one you had was statements, correct? We can add that as part of a month end. So maybe add month end process as one of the sessions. So we can talk about statements and what does month end really mean in I-21, because it's more like reconciling general ledger to subledgers. It's not so much, hey, you got to make sure this is done before like the whole wait till you post. So it's really none of that, but there is still some kind of process.
Okay.
And then you can just select what date you want to go over that. It doesn't necessarily have to be at month end, obviously, since it's just we're just going to go over reports. And then essentially when we go live, we're going to do a mock month end, not really do print statements or anything like that, but we're going to reconcile inventory values, AR balances. I'm going to talk to Ann about your AP balance that keeps popping up in your live environment, so unless that's been resolved since I've seen it last. Undeposited funds reconciliation, and then really what I do as part of the whole go live is every day that I get into the office, I check those balances myself, so that way if there were any out of balance entries, and not necessarily debit doesn't equal credit, but any out of balance entries to the totals that it says in inventory, we want to catch those right away, just to make sure. And maybe what would be good too is on your most, like on a lot of your gas products, maybe we do I know you do weekly readings, I think. We can try and just measure it up to the current valuation, just to make sure we're up to par and we're not waiting till month end to see if we're losing lots of gallons and not, things aren't updating correctly, things like that.
Sounds like a good plan.
Awesome. All right, so tomorrow, guys, and then I'll send you that document.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye.
What'd you
When
think?
we start